Welcome to the Friends and Rivals podcast.
I will suck the teeth.
Let's talk Devils and Islanders, let's talk Penguins and Rangers, but let's not talk about Flyers, cause they're a bunch of fucks, which no one can deny.
So, does anybody want to take a guess at why May 11th of the year 1997 was special? Anybody?
We're jumping ahead to that already?
I know.
Well, you know, because I told you guys already.
Well, yeah, exactly.
May
so
11th.
why are you asking us this question?
The Rangers beat
Call
the
in.
Devils.
Call in if you know. Call in if you know the answer.
Right. Wait, do we have to give them we can give them the phone? No, let's not do that. The Rangers beat the Devils to advance in the Stanley Cup playoffs that year on May 11th, 1997. The Knicks beat the Miami Heat that day in the playoffs. The Mets and Yankees both win games. I don't remember who they were playing. But that was the last time that the Knicks and the Rangers both won playoff games on the same day. And also the Mets and Yankees won on that same day.
It's remarkable.
May 11th, 1997 was the last time it happened until yesterday.
Is this senseless piece of information something you sought out, or did you see it somewhere?
Oh, I sought it out.
So you went back and
I did zero research. I sought out somebody on Twitter that I knew would know the answer, and he responded and gave me the answer.
Can we give this
big
person
shout out?
Yeah, I mean,
big shout out to Hockey Stat Miner for finding and doing the research for me and finding May 11th, 1997 as the day. I do appreciate it. So yesterday saw our beloved New York Knicks beat the Philadelphia 76ers. And I got to tell you, Jalen Brunson is just on a whole nother stratosphere of point guard that I think I've ever seen play for the Knicks. Holy Jesus.
For the Knicks, for sure. For absolutely.
For the Knicks. Yeah.
He's a point guard?
Yes.
This is how much Knick basketball I have not watched. I had no idea what position he played.
Well, Nets fan. Well, when you were a basketball fan.
Before they moved, and then basketball was dead to me. Maybe
I
can get on board with the Knicks. Maybe I could bring them down.
No. We're all full. We're all full.
Maybe I'm gonna hop on that train. Choo-choo, baby.
Buddy, we're full.
Go New York, go New York, go.
We're good.
Right?
Well, the last net game that you
logo. That's the slang. LJ.
Like the last Nets game you saw was what? Mike Jerminski, Daryl Dawkins.
No.
Drazen
and Coleman and Kenny Anderson.
R.I.P.
Chris Dudley.
Wow.
Oh.
Chris
Dudley. Well, whoop-de-damn-do.
Damn straight.
But I thoroughly enjoyed watching the Knicks game. I think I enjoyed seeing the Knicks win more than actually seeing everybody in Philadelphia cry and bitch and moan. I can tell you that Joel Embiid, big crybaby.
Holy
shit.
Big time.
He's in the NBA.
Holy hell. Yeah,
I didn't think Sixers.
I literally didn't think it was that bad.
Didn't
think it was that bad. But what I forgot I hated the most was the pump fake that the offensive player gets to get the defensive player in the air, and then the offensive player just
leans right
jumping right into him, and they call the foul on the defensive player. Yeah, I forgot how much I hated that.
Love that part.
Kind of a stupid sport, really. But I'm watching the Knicks. Don't get me wrong. I got nothing else to do.
I am too. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed watching our beloved New York Knicks. And Billy, until the playoffs are over, why don't you lead off every week now with an update on our beloved New York Knicks?
Oh,
I'm not gonna put you on the spot right now.
No, you pretty much just did that. That was the definition of putting someone on the spot.
Not starting this week. We're gonna start next week.
Not even like, hey, Bill, what do you think? Maybe you start off each week? No, you told him he was going to be doing that.
He's watching the
I'm
games
excited to do
anyway.
it. It's
exactly.
fine.
Look how happy he is. I gave him a purpose on this podcast, unlike you.
I don't have to
I'm
say
fine
one
with
fucking
that
word
one.
about that hockey team, that yellow and black hockey team that I will not mention.
For the Bruins?
Bruins? Your favorite team?
No.
Your real favorite team?
And the other reason I was so overjoyed yesterday was that the number 1 seed President's Trophy winning New York Rangers completed the sweep over the Washington Capitals. A sweep. Nobody else in the first round swept anybody.
Congratulations.
Their number 1 seed President's Trophy winning New York Rangers.
Congratulations. You definitely deserve it. But I mean, it was the Capitals. You guys definitely should have fucking swept them. I get it. You got to beat who you play, and they made it, and the Devils didn't, and the Penguins didn't. But let's settle down.
Agreed.
Last time the Rangers fucking swept anybody in the playoffs was 2007. How can I not be happy about this?
Settle down.
Nobody's telling you not to be happy about it.
Oh, I don't really give a fuck if you didn't. I'm overjoyed with happiness on this wonderful Monday evening. The
That's
bad
funny.
thing about
I'm
this,
like overjoyed with devastation personally. I don't know how that works, but
how?
I just don't know why you pointed out that you were overjoyed with happiness. I don't know.
What, like devastation? Like if like a tragedy happened, you'd be overjoyed. Tragedy happened.
Overjoyed with devastation. You'd have to say it like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yikes. Yikes.
So are you happy that they're now going to have this break?
Yes and no. There's goods and bads about all of this, right? They get a little rusty. They get maybe too much. Can you get too much rest in the playoffs?
I think you can. Yeah.
I don't know. The Rangers have never experienced that, hardly ever. So the next possible time I think they could play is either Sunday or Monday. Would be the next available time that they could play, barring things go 7 games in every other series, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But that's a potential of when the round 2 would start, would be either Sunday or Monday. But at last we left you, the Rangers were up 1-0 in the series. My one screen just went completely green. That was weird. Sorry.
Oh, I thought you were turning into the Hulk. Holy shit.
No, you can see the green on my face, right?
I wouldn't like him when he's angry.
Okay, that's better. So the Rangers in game 2 defeat the Caps 4-3. It was really just a battle of special teams, and that's where the Rangers kind of had the advantage in the series. Not to mention having better offensive players, but their power play became lethal in the series, and was no more evident than in that game 2 where they scored 2 power play goals and added a shorthanded goal for a 4-3 win against the Caps in game 2. Game 3, first game in Washington, saw another shorthanded goal by Barclay Goodrow. Kreider and Trocheck also added offense in a 3-1 win. And game 4 was a lot of the same power play goals by Vincent Trocheck, Artemi Panarin, and Jack Roslovic. Really secured the Rangers 4-2 victory in a game that, wasn't the prettiest, but you're not going to have games in the playoffs that aren't necessarily the prettiest. And all that matters is you win. And their special teams were, in fact, special. In the series, they scored 5 power play goals, and they outscored Washington 15-7. They had 10 different goal scorers, eight specialty teams goals, with 6 power play goals and 2 shorthanded goals. The Caps led for 3 minutes and 21 seconds in the series. Alex Ovechkin, 5 shots on goal in the series and no points. So we play the winner of Carolina and the Islanders, which resume tomorrow night. Nick, is that right?
Yes, correct.
The Islanders staging off elimination in an overtime win on Saturday. How you feeling? You excited? You nervous? What are you?
Yeah, so I don't have any real nerves here because we're down 3-1. We were down 3-0 in the series. So pressure's off at this point. Not much expectation. And I say that because, 98% of the teams, this is a real percentage, I'm not making this shit up. 98% of the teams that are down 3-0 lose. There's only 2% of teams that ever pull off the 3-0 comeback. Not to say this team can't do that. It's just they haven't shown it. Carolina has been all over them all series. Definitely the better team. So if the Isles are to mount any type of real comeback, they have to obviously win each game and build that momentum towards a game 7. But most importantly, they have to just survive the next game. They had a really good opportunity, completely just melted down in game 2 on Monday night. I think we were probably talking about while we were doing the podcast, but that was a really difficult game to watch. They just completely were outclassed, even though they had an early lead. A very opportunistic style play, got a 3-0 lead, and it was looking great. And then Carolina just crawled back, and it was honestly the shot differential was insane. I don't even want to look at it. It was like 70, 80 shots, 90 shots that Carolina took in terms of shots on goal was like 40. We blocked 1 million shots and they missed 1 million shots. It was unbelievable the amount of peppering that Varlamov went through in that game. But realistically, it comes down to like just a couple of mistakes. That's really what cost them. It wasn't all the shots. It was just mental errors at the end.
I know you don't. I know you don't listening back to our podcast.
Oh, I hate it.
But watching that Islander, it was really funny. That entire segment, I found it to be very amusing. And I did. I felt horrible for you.
Brutal to watch, and do the podcast at the same time. I knew I was going to be completely distracted because it was going to be a tight game, and just that 2-goal lead. When it's a 2-goal lead, you guys know it's like the worst lead to have in hockey. So, anyway, first game back in the Isles, it wasn't over 2-0. Isles played much better overall in the third game. I ended up losing 3-2. Just couldn't, never had a lead. And this is a team they can't see the lead on. They were down 2-0, went in the first. The worst possible scenario when you're down 2 games to be down 2-0 in the first period, especially when you outshoot, you outplay. I felt they outplayed the Carolina Hurricanes in the first period. Managed to claw back and get 2 goals into 1 in the same period to make it a 1-goal game, and then just even though they played their hearts out in third, just weren't able to make it happen in the third game, and so they missed down 3-0, down 3 in the third. Really, I didn't even talk about it, but in game 3, Ilya Sorokin just had a really bad game, and he's had a pretty rough month. Varlamov's been the guy, and it might be that plus his just lackluster year all around. I would say it's not just his fault, but he's been expected to play like out of his mind all year round to keep us in every game when our defense hasn't been great. And when he's not playing at the top of his game, it's very evident. And he had a really, really bad game in game 3. He got pulled in the second period and basically sat he just literally went to the tunnel and just like sat down.
He just stood there.
He just
like minutes.
It was not good. Move. Like I think we've all been there when you just feel like you let everyone down in your team. You had a shit game, just played fucking bad, whether it's penalties or
not me.
You didn't.
Never.
I've never felt that way, Nick.
All right. Well, I guess whatever.
We're super
definitely done that. Apparently. Whoa. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't realize what podcast I was on. I have to put myself in my place here. Hold on. So anyway, that really killed the momentum, but Varlamov coming in and Isles scoring 2 goals in the second did give them, get them a little bit back. But that was a crushing blow. He had a few goals that all three goals really were stoppable. Two of them noticeably were while you could make the argument he was screened, they were long goals. That was the problem. And you got to stop those long goals. You can't, they weren't like blasts that were unstoppable. They were just, you got to stop those. And so he's been rattled. He's going to have to take, I don't think he's playing the rest of the year, even if they win any game. I mean, realistically, what's going to happen? Varley's playing the rest of the games out. I don't think they put him back in unless Varley gets hurt. So, anywho, that was the case. Game 4, Isles were able to finally break through. A ton of shots in this game. 44 shots from Carolina, 35 from the Isles. Just a shit ton of shots. But Isles finally started to win the face-off battle. They did win in the face-off battle in the game before, but it felt like they just were not winning enough of the critical, face-offs. But they won almost 70%. They were definitely playing well there on that. Power play, they scored on the power play. They led 2 power play goals. I mean, Carolina's got the best power play in the league. You can't let them get a power play. That's the biggest problem. Isles are the worst penalty kill in the league against the best power play in the league. It's just obvious. Don't take penalties, right? So even with that, 50%, they let in, whatever. Isles were able to finally get through that, though. In overtime, Matt Barzal had a tip in on Robert Bertuzzo's slap shot. Seemed like it was a tip from Barzy in front. But, it just seemed like they were going to win this, have this thing, and then power play goal from Carolina, late in the third, deflated the building, and it was just like, man, they're just not going to do it. You're going to get swept. And they got through it. So it was, thank God, living their day. Going to Carolina tomorrow. They're here already, I'm sure, and practicing. And looks like Martin's not going to play again. Matt Martin's been having some injury that they're not disclosing. So he's going to be scratched again. But it looks like they're going to put Holmstrom in back again in his spot with a Fashing. They did have the rookie in Ishkov, last game, but I don't think he played a lot of minutes. Honestly, he was I didn't even notice him. So looking at it time-wise, he only played 6 minutes. I mean, he really was barely out there. I didn't see him at all. I mean, the fourth line between Clutterbuck and Ishkov, they barely played. They were the 2 guys that played the least. So they played 7 and 6 minutes. Everybody else was doubling up. So I think they need somebody that's more dependable, obviously, put him in there. Anyway, so game tomorrow, it's do or die again. You have to face these games each one at a time. Hopefully, not last year we were down 3-1 in the series, one in Carolina only to lose ultimately in New York, game 6. So hopefully they do not repeat that. At least they repeat the win in game 5. Hopefully, we'll see how that goes, and then we'll see from there. So big game tomorrow. I'll be watching at a bar. Hopefully,
one thing you mentioned about Carolina, which just reminded me about, the Devils playoff series with them last year. You could think you're playing with them, right? You could think you're matching up with them really well. You're playing against them really well. And then they just capitalize on every mistake.
Yeah.
And will just bury 2-3 goals in succession. And you're just like, how did the game get this out of control this quickly? It's just a very shocking thing with that team.
They are better than last year. I feel like even when we saw them in Christmas time, I went to the game with the boys and Grandpa, and the Isles played much better than that game. I've seen them play against them really all year. But I've made the comment that they play very similar, and I feel they do. Carolina's just faster. They're just better. They're more talented. But the thing is, both teams are horrendously bad to play against when they have a lead. When they have a lead,
they just sit.
They're just so. And Carolina is, they're playing more of a trap that Isles just can't solve. They've been trying really hard, but I don't know. It's like you guys know they're gonna have a trap. They've been playing the trap the whole time, especially like on the power play. And like, man, it's just like, do something different. They've been going into the dump and chase now, but only Barzal is the only guy that can really bring the puck in and carry it in. But he's been hounded by Aho all series. I mean, Jesus, it's like brutal because him and Horvat have been just nullified, not because of their play, but because of just the elevated play of Haho and that whole, they just know the Isles have like one scoring line and they're shutting them down pretty well. So it's a bad matchup for the Isles. They need to get lucky bounces. They gotta win battles against a team that is basically like they gotta win this year and they know it.
Yeah.
And so when they do eventually win against the Isles, because I don't see this happen. I mean, it would be a lot of lucky bounces to get there. But I gotta say the Rangers are gonna have a hard time with them. They're gonna be a tough team to play.
It's gonna be a very good series.
It's gonna be a great. It'll be a great. Listen,
be.
if the Rangers play the Islanders, it's gonna be a great series. If they play the Hurricanes, it's gonna be a
Oh,
great series. But you're talking about the power play, right? So I think the Rangers power play toward the end of the season got a little stale. They were still third in the league on the power play and third in the league in penalty kill. So specialty teams for the Rangers was incredible all season, but they diversified a little bit. And it's not just a Zibanejad one-timer anymore from Panarin and Fox at the point. It's more. It's not even tips anymore with Kreider in front because they could beat you both ways. Now it's Trocheck off the bumper. So it's 3 different ways that Ranger power play could beat you. And it was very evident in the Cap series that they were exploiting all of that when they tried to take away Kreider in front. Panarin and Zibanejad were up top and just playing that one time. And when that out wasn't available to them and it wasn't working, they went to Trocheck and a bumper. And Trocheck had 2 power play goals in the series just on those 2 plays alone. So I think it's more about diversifying your power play. And the Rangers, because of Trocheck and because of his abilities, did that. And they had the ability to do that. And listen, Trocheck in the series was great. Zibanejad 7 points in the series was equally as good. Listen, I went back and forth with the whole Roslovic trade versus trading for like a Duclair, and toward the end of the year, I was kind of second guessing that Duclair probably would have been the better fit on the line with Zibanejad and Kreider just because of the speed. But Roslovic has fit in quite nicely, and he even chipped in the offense, scoring a pair of power play goals. Sure, one came with the empty net toward the end of Game 4, but his play otherwise has been really, really good, and he's really added a nice balance on the right side with Zibanejad and Kreider in that first round. The fourth line was great. They got a lot of depth on the Rangers team, and Shesterkin was good when he had to be. Kreider was good. Miller was good. All the guys were good. Invisible guys. I thought until the end, even though they were playing very well defensively, I thought Kakko and Cooley were kind of invisible in even Wenberg, that whole third line. Even though they were playing more the checking role and more checking style, but Lafreniere was completely invisible in that first round, and they're going to need him and that line. After Panarin took the penalty, or the non-penalty, I should say, against Oshie, I didn't think he was the same player until the third period in Game 4. After he scored the power play goal, it seemed like he was a different player, and that line was back to their normal selves. So this is all good and positive, but I think Lafreniere has to kind of step up. Even Fox, besides the power play points where he's going to get those points just because he's on the power play, I think he needs to step up his game a little bit too. But all in all, I mean, how can you be upset against a team that swept the number 8 seed in the first round? You can't be.
Yeah.
No, and like you said, whoever comes out of that game, and all signs are pointed to Carolina. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great fucking series. I can't wait to watch it and be stressed the fuck out every single fucking game. I'm going to be stressed out.
Yeah. By the way, so interesting. Rangers regular season, they were number 3 in power play and number 3 in penalty kill all season.
I heard that somewhere.
Carolina, number 2 in power play and number 1 in penalty kill.
Yeah.
Special teams, both teams are absolutely excellent. And it's going to be a much different. Yeah,
both I think it's stand in the fucking box.
Yeah, they don't have to, but they both play very well on both sides of the fence. So it doesn't matter. I feel like it's more of it gets evened out. It's just it's not a huge advantage. Isles, when you have a worst against the best, it is a absolute must to stay out of the box. But I feel like in this, if when Carolina eventually does move on, it'll be a very, very good even matchup. I think it's going to be interesting. Who wants it more? And I think the winner of that series is going to probably be the one that's going to go to the Cup final, because I think they're both the most complete teams.
I'm not sure about that. Florida just finished off the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight 6-1 in that game. It was just even though Tampa had a couple of disallowed goals, Florida looks pretty strong.
Tampa's up. Tampa's
really
been
strong.
Down. Florida's very good.
I get it.
They got Boston, and then Boston and Florida got to play. And that's going to be a whole. Remember, playoffs are about
the shit out of each other.
They just beat each other up. Yeah,
that's it. Let's see. But I gotta say, this is the 4 best teams in the East are definitely going to be there. I mean, I don't think it's any question the 4 best teams in the league, in the NHL, or in the East, are going to be playing in the next round for sure.
So you're saying stay out of the box, right? For the Rangers to be, that's pretty important against Carolina, and vice versa for Carolina. So that makes me kind of
first goal.
Yeah,
I think get the first goal is the most important thing in this series.
Okay, I can definitely see that. I don't know that Rempe fits into their lineup then, because Rempe is just a target for going to the box. Anytime he breathes on, touches somebody,
I disagree.
The refs just want to put him in the box.
Yeah,
I think it's a good thing because the Isles they have not been the physical force they used to be, and that's been a big difference. Like having that guy that can just
the Rangers can still be physical without Rempe in the lineup. They can.
I think you put him in game 1, and you just let him do it for game 1, and then you
hear me out. Hear me out.
I'm good.
Too bad you're gonna fucking listen to every word I have to say. So they take Rempe out and they replace him with Hedl. And Heedle's now your third line center. So now you got a third line of Cooley, Hedl, and Kakko. And now your fourth line is Wenberg with Goudreau and Vesey. It gives you a lot of speed against a very fast Carolina team. And it gives you a really good fourth line that could be your checking line to go against the top line of Carolina and trying to shut down whoever the hot line is for Carolina. I think the speed matches up better with that in the lineup, and you're not going to sit Rempe in the third period and have Wenberg go out there anyway, because you saw a lot of that when the Rangers were up and they're trying to protect that lead. Rempe was on the bench.
But you got to trust Hedl.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't know if I trust him. I have to be honest with you. But
we have a certain listener who's got a son who plays soccer fairly competitively. But this kid can't stay on the fucking field to save his life.
Really?
And that's who Hedl kind of reminds me of.
Yeah.
You could have all the talent in the world. If you can't stay on the ice, what fucking good are you?
Listen, he got hurt versus Carolina, so there's a lot of reasons to give him the opportunity.
Yeah.
So
storyline.
Yeah, I don't know if Laviolette was going to go that direction. I would love to see it. Regardless, we're going to have to deal with whatever he puts out there anyway. So moving on, the Florida Panthers, as we mentioned, make it to round 2. They will play the winner of Boston, Toronto. My God, what the heck? I mean, we say this every year. What the fuck is going on with Toronto? It's just unbelievable. They are one of the best regular season teams year in and year out. But when it comes to the playoffs, man, they just suck.
Listen,
they just suck.
We say this every year, and people who aren't hockey people don't get it. Regular season, playoffs, totally different things. They are never been built for playoffs. They've been built for the regular season. They don't have the defense. They don't have the goaltending. They have loaded up on very expensive, very talented wingers and centers, but that's not enough. It never has been enough. They don't have any grit. They try to supplement them with other things, but it never works out. You can't have, I don't know, was it 40, 50% of your cap on 4 guys? It's just asinine.
They're gonna have to do something this summer, man. I can't see them continuing.
They say that every year.
Covered this.
Yeah,
we covered
this. I got it, but I think it's Keefe. I think it's Shanahan, and I think Marner. I think Marner is the one who's going to be traded. But they got to do this. They got to free up that cap space, and they need just a change of direction. They need that right now. And
they also had to play my Bruins, which are, I mean, fuck. Yeah, I mean, anybody would be down 3-1 right
now. Well, all right, and that blows up my next question. I since Florida advanced and Toronto is laughable, and Nick has no confidence in the Islanders, who in the Western Conference that is currently down? I mean, that Vegas and Dallas, right? They're 2-1, but the other series are 3-1. The teams that are down, Dallas, Winnipeg, Nashville, or the Kings, who has got the best chance of coming back? Because I don't think there's anybody in the East that we think is going to come back.
Nashville. It's got to be Nashville. I mean, they were a post away from being 2-2 on an empty net.
Unbelievable.
Can you believe that? They were at
Sissons home. Sissons misses that empty net. Unbelievable.
Centimeters.
No, it hit the post.
I know from going in.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
The post. Yeah. Wow. And then 6 seconds left, and it's not even it's a goal. They just kind of like a broken play. Just nobody could get to that guy, and he just scores. Get to overtime, get the goal, and get out of there. And I mean, that's just unbelievable. Nashville, they should have won that game.
They're on their Vancouver's on their third string goalie, because Demko is could probably gone for the playoffs. DeSmith got hurt somehow, and now they're on some no name guy. So
no name, like
guy.
Guy no name.
The Penguins a couple years ago with DeSmith and Jari and
wait, DeSmith couldn't come in and play in the playoffs? Where have I ever heard that before?
Shocking, right? But goaltenders are different. You look at that guy on the Kings last night who played Richie or whatever his name was. He had like a goals against average of like 8 in his only other appearance ever, and he held the Oilers to 1 goal. So the playoffs are totally different.
Really?
And listen, goalies, whoever their name is, they're going to give you a chance in the playoffs. So I don't know. I don't know about Nashville. I just think Lady Luck is not on their side. I want Dallas. Dallas.
I think Dallas is the one that could really do it.
And they're not down. I mean, they could even up the series tonight. They're not down 3-1 like the other guys. I actually think, in all seriousness, not propping up my Bruins anymore, blah blah blah. I am not. I think Toronto does have a shot in that series. I don't think it's that laughable. Because of all of the talent that we're talking about now, they're not a team that goes far in the playoffs usually. But I wouldn't count. They're just too talented for me to count out down 3-1 against anybody. And again, look, I don't think anybody down 3-1 is going to win their series. I don't think it's going to happen to any of these teams. But I do think Toronto has a shot, and maybe the Kings for that matter too, because Edmonton to me is not a team that is a real big playoff success. I think they could blow it too. Probably not, but maybe.
Edmonton's a good call. They have not proven much, and they don't have their makeup is not that different from Toronto. A little more balanced, but not. It's still the same. They're if you can shut down McDavid and Draisaitl, good luck with that. But if you can, that's the key to beating them. That's it. There's nothing else to beating them. Just stop those two.
I know how last week we were kind of praising ESPN for the scheduling that they did over during the week, in getting the games to kind of
overlap.
Jesus. Yeah. Sorry, I saw in the Dallas game someone get hit in the face in warm-ups. I just saw that. Too? Yeah, holy hell.
Kenneth took a practice.
It's 5 minutes into the game. Why are you watching warm-ups?
That they just replayed it to show that he has a black eye or something.
Poking off the goalie in practice, hit him right in the face, and
but TNT had the games over the weekend, and the Western Conference games, the last games of the night, both started at like 10:55. I watched both of them. Well, I watched. I didn't watch overtime of the Saturday night game because I fell asleep. But and then I watched last night's game. But 10:55. That's late to start a fucking hockey game.
They want
on a Sunday night. On a Sunday night.
They want to make sure the one game's over before the next game starts, and you gotta allow for that.
Yeah, I got it. I get it. But they definitely could have arranged the scheduling a little bit better to have maybe the Eastern Conference team play at noon and just have the West, and to have Nashville play at the second game, and then you have Colorado and then Edmonton playing the later games. They could have situated that maybe a little bit better, is all I'm saying.
It was tricky. Even Saturday was weird. I was doing stuff in the middle of the day, and the game was at 2:00. I mean, it was like trying to find time between all the shit we had during the day. It was a very much of a challenge. I much would have preferred a night game,
a 7:00. Yeah, a normal start.
A normal start. Yeah, that 2:00 was brutal on a Saturday. It's just like kid time. I don't know. It was very hard to watch that game.
Well, Billy, what are we calling you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what we're doing here.
We need a name for this.
I don't know what we're doing.
No, this is the wrong bell.
The weekly WTF, not the daily DT. I don't even know the daily DT.
What the hell did you write today? I didn't know what he was talking about either, Billy. I was
they sell shoes.
All right, how about this?
I think it was an autocorrect, but yeah, sorry about that.
Okay.
It's weekly.
Weekly, yeah, it's got to be weekly.
Weekly. Well, yeah, it's not. Yeah. We don't do a daily podcast.
No.
Time for your weekly WTF with William Thomas Fougere.
And I won't have to go through every team this week, so it won't be as long. So here's the weekly WTF playoff update. The New York Rangers swept away the Washington Capitals in 4 straight. As a Penguins fan, it was bliss hearing those fuckers complain about cheap shots from the Rangers. This might be a little bit on the nose, but don't you guys employ Tom Wilson? And not only that, but you back him up on every single time there's an incident. And like, he's misunderstood. He's a great teammate. Just go fuck yourselves. He's a gargantuan turd. I'm glad the Rangers have a giant of their own that they can.
Who the fuck says that? Who says that?
All the Capitals. Yeah, the Capitals. Fans.
The Capitals fans. Oh, they get behind Wilson 1,000.
Tom Wilson is the biggest fucking clown going in that game 4 last night. He got Fox got kneed, and Wilson went over to him like, oh, nice dive or something like that, where he fucking clearly got kneed and he could have gotten injured. After the Rangers score on that power play, Fox says something to Wilson, and Wilson fucking attacks Fox. What a fucking clown. Absolutely. Deal with it, you little fucking pussy. You don't want him to score? Do what Steve says. Don't let him fucking score.
That's simple.
Yeah, and they were upset with Panarin for targeting Oshie with his back somehow. I mean, I get pretty critical of the Rangers. You know how I feel about Jacob Drew, but like I can't sit here and say, oh, he targeted him by hitting him with his back. Anyway, so the Capitals are swept, and by the way, for the Capitals, all those injured defensemen, if they were healthy, they were not going to save you from getting swept. Only a time machine was going to help you not get swept in that series. Alex Ovechkin, he's just out there like, the goals in the playoffs don't count for the Gretzky record, so he didn't score shit. He's just a shadow of Alex Ovechkin, just holding on, trying to break Gretzky's record. So anyway, I hope the punishment for the Capitals for losing, for getting swept in that series, is that each of the players have a one-on-one session to go over their playoff performance with former Blackhawks video coach Brad Ulrich.
Oh wow,
that's what I hope happens. So speaking of dirty fuckers, how about Joel Embiid in these NBA playoffs? First, he tackles Mitchell Robinson in Game 3 and re-injures Robinson's surgically repaired leg that made him miss 50 games. And then in Game 4, he steps on Jalen Brunson's leg and later on falls on his back.
Brunson! He steps on him!
But there's a goon in Philadelphia? Can you imagine? So fuck the 76ers. Go Knickerbockers.
Fuck the 76ers.
Absolutely. Fuck the 76ers. Back to hockey playoffs. Until just now, only the Rangers had delivered that knockout blow, but now Tampa has been knocked out as well. But every other series 3-1, except for that Dallas Vegas series. So it appears that Luzpeg and Tampa, Toronto, Nashville, and the Kings and the Islanders are in pretty deep shit. But if you were the Rangers, would you rather play Carolina or an Islanders team that just beat Carolina 4 times in a row? So gonna get a lot more intense in round 2 for those Rangers. And that's the weekly WTF. Thank you.
I think we have found your sweet spot.
Yeah, this is it.
I think we have found it.
This is it.
Well done. Well done, my friend.
I could throw a trivia question in here, though.
Nope.
Nope. Only if it fits into the daily DTW.
Weekly.
No, I like daily DTW, but maybe it's daily.
I just have to figure out what it stands for. and how it could be daily.
DTF is better. All right, let's go to Money Talks next. Sponsored.
DTF.
Sponsored by E-Trade.
Money, it's a gas. Grab that cash with both hands and make a stash. New plug, give a fuck, G and daydream. Think I'll buy me a hockey team.
All right, boys. So, I want to talk a little bit about playoffs. And basically, what teams are they spending their money on and making the playoffs with? So, in terms of is spending more money in the league equivalent to getting into the playoffs this year? And also, are the teams that are in the playoffs, are they spending more money in forwards, defensemen, or goalies? Like, what's the category
breakdown? Okay.
What's it looking like? So, anybody have anything first? Like, do you think there's a certain area that is more likely to get you into the playoffs, spending on forwards, defensemen, or goalies?
Well, we all know it's goalies that get you into the playoffs.
No, I'm going to say it's forwards.
Okay.
Because there's 12 of them.
Yeah, sheer volume.
I'm gonna there is a goalie part of it. Like you got to have like at least an average goalie. You know what I mean? You can't have like a shit goalie. So I guess I kind of agree with Tom because you just got to have. But I mean, special teams are so big. But I would say goalie number 1.
Interesting. So when you look at the breakdown of where people are spending money, the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 teams that spent the most money on forwards all made the playoffs this year. Pretty good. Now, that doesn't mean spending $59.7 million like Toronto equals a actual Stanley Cup. But what I'm saying is that the teams that have spent the most in forwards are generally at the top of the list. Interestingly, when you look at goalies, the top spenders, the top 1, 2, 3, 6. The top 6 spenders, there's a 7 doesn't make the playoffs in Calgary, but then the next 3. So 9 of the top 10 spenders in goalie, in amount of money in goalie, all made the playoffs. So you guys are both kind of right. It's kind of in a similar area. Also, defense, it's kind of a hit or miss. It's not exactly. I mean, it's generally. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 of the top 14 teams made, in terms of spending on defense, made the playoffs. So you can make the argument that, in general, if you spend
a lot of money and you're going to make the playoffs.
You make the playoffs. That's kind of the gist. So there's not really a formula that says if you spend more in one area, is it really just the trend right now in the NHL? The trend is if you spend more than anybody else, you're likely going to make the playoffs. And if you look at total cap count, even that's going to be with like going over and everything. 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The top 13 teams are all in playoffs in terms of cap spend. Flyers are right below that. They didn't make the playoffs. But they're right there. The Kings, the next one's down, and then you have only Nashville and Washington that are the outliers that are not really in the top like half of the NHL in terms of spending.
But isn't that number should be a little skewed though because of the trade deadline and all the moves that happen there. Typically, the ones that are going to make the playoffs are going to spend and add more salary to their cap than the ones who are not going to make the playoffs. So it's kind of seems logical that it would line up that way.
Yeah. Interestingly, Washington had $9 million in injuries, which I didn't really talk about. But then injuries is another piece of the puzzle that does account for that, right? So
yeah, but that was like
Toronto,
that was Backstrom.
Tampa,
that was Backstrom though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
one guy.
They were missing Backstrom. I mean, it's a fair amount, but their cap hit was like they were at the cap round about like 80 million. Everyone else though is above like 84, 85 million. I mean, look at Toronto was the top. They're at 100 million. There's 3 teams that are 100 million with injuries and everything accounted for: Tampa, Toronto, and Vegas. They're by far the biggest offenders of taking advantage of the cap situation. We've talked endlessly about Vegas and how they've just circumvented the cap. But then Carolina, Avalanche, Islanders, Rangers, all the 92 to 89 million cap hit. Bruins, Edmonton, Panthers, Winnipeg, Vancouver, 88 to 87, Dallas, 86. I mean, these guys are all in the same range. And it's pretty obvious. You spend money, you're making the playoffs. Of course, you got to spend money reasonably. You got to be able to get there, but we're not really seeing teams spending like getting to the cap and over missing the playoffs this year. Everybody's making the playoffs. That's basically there, minus Philadelphia. The Wild and in Montreal both had a lot of injuries. They're also a little over the cap in terms of when you have look at their what they're paying for overage, but it's kind of wild to see. And then what I did was also looked at those teams and the teams that are realistically to make the playoff the second round. And all of those teams are all in the same boat. There's no real no outliers there. They're all kind of just in the middle of this whole group of teams that are all making the that all make the playoffs, spend a lot of money. But when I looked at further at what their team looks like, all the teams that did make the playoffs, none of these teams have realistically more than 2 years. There's one team I would say Colorado's probably like a 3-year team when it comes to all the major guys that are signed. Every one of these teams is like this year, 1 year, or 2 years, and they have to retool. Like they have the pieces around them they could really, you could effectively build around or keep, but they have a lot of UFAs and RFAs they have to deal with in order to make sure these teams are going to have the ability to continue staying in the top half of the league and making the playoffs. And that includes the Rangers. I had them written down as 2-year cap and 2 years, and then they're going to have to do some retooling, figuring out some of their things. But they have a pretty solid, set of draft picks, and they have a solid, set of prospects.
That's not taking into account the cap going up a significant amount.
This is purely what they have today. The cap, what it's going to be, nobody cares because we don't know what it's going to be. And when it does go up, it'll happen. But when you look at what the way I looked at it was, what do they have? Teams have signed, who they've signed right now, like actually on their cap for the next couple of years. And realistically, everyone's kind of in the same boat. These are all teams that are basically either 1 to 2 years of left of their range before they end up having to really do a major retool.
So either those GMs are going to have to do some wizardry, or it's just going to be a shakeup of who makes the playoffs each year.
Yeah, and some teams may just be like, we're just going to resign everybody, like, and UFAs come back, right? And that happens, but like when there's only 5 or 6 guys on the whole team resigned, in 3 years from now, like, how do you know that team's going to be the same kind of team? They're going to be playoffs. We don't know. Their makeup of their entire roster could be completely different. And then you have a situation like, a couple I noted here, like Toronto. What are they going to do? They are imploding horrendously right now, and very much publicly, where their stars are literally yelling at each other on the bench, and it could happen again in Game 5.
That was hilarious.
Yeah. Nylander and Matthews are really the only 2 guys that are realistically signed longer in the next few years, because Marner's coming off his deal and Tavares as well in the next couple of years. And effectively, they could just stick with the two of them and start to restructure their plan and actually go to a more, balanced team. We'll see how that goes because they haven't done that. I also wrote down the Isles, who are cap screwed for the next couple of years, and I don't see how they're going to make much changes. So I don't see our future going to be changed much unless major changes happen, major trades. But outside of that, the other teams I did find very interesting, the LA Kings, while they have a 2-year kind of window, it looks like they could extend it because they have a lot of young guys that are starting to come up. But they would need to. I think they really need to re-sign Kopitar after this. He'll be 38 coming off his contract. I think, though, he's such an important piece to that team, though. I don't know if he can. It might be like a more of a.
I hear you, but what are you gonna? Yeah, but what are you gonna sign him for? You can't. He can't be signed to big money if he's gonna have a reduced salary. Then great.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No question. I don't think he's the only one. I think there's a lot of teams out there where they're superstars or they're stars off of those higher contracts that they're getting. They need to take a reduction in pay. Even with the cap going up, because take for instance the Rangers, they got a lot of young guys coming up for renewal. Miller's coming up. Cooley's going to need a contract in a couple of years. Kako, Lafreniere, list goes on. But
when I looked at the Rangers, that was my first thought, was they have to sign a lot of guys, and they're going to have to figure out how to balance those guys. But I think
Panarin's contract comes down, the cap goes up a little bit, so they do have a little bit of wiggle room in there to keep that core intact for a little longer. And who knows, with some of the young guys they have in the system, that they could possibly get replaced by those young guys.
Yeah, and what's really interesting, of all the teams, Nashville was like the big outlier because they shouldn't have really made the playoffs. They had this huge run. They went 15-0 or something. And they get into the playoffs, and they're playing pretty well. Obviously, they almost should have been 2-2, as we were talking about before. But what's interesting is that they have like another year of like everybody kind of together, and then they have to make some decisions on what they're going to go for. Trotz really has to make some real meaningful decisions because clearly they were going for a rebuild. He stockpiled a whole bunch of stuff of draft picks and everything, and made some moves. They did some buyouts. They have. I didn't realize this, but they have $11 million next year in dead cap, and then $8 million the following year from their buyouts and just other guys on what's it called?
LTIR.
One second, dead cap, just dead cap. So Ryan Johansson's, I guess I'm not sure, I forget what happened.
Well, they ate his salary
contract.
Yeah,
right. Him and Ekholm, but Ekholm's was only $250K. But they $4 million of Ryan Johansson. So Ryan Johansson next year, $4 million dead cap as well as this year, which wasn't as bad because it was already prorated when they traded him. But next year, Matt Duchene and Kyle Turris, 5.555 for Duchene next year, $2 million for Kyle Turris. So $7.5 million of buyout. And then dead cap is 4.2. The following year, the Duchene's goes up higher, goes to 8.5 total with him and Turris. But then in 26, 27, it drops to like 3.5 for next 2 years. So it drops down tremendously. But the point is they have 11 million and then 8 million next 2 years of just dead cap, which is quite substantial to make a lot of moves. So they are going to have an interesting problem. They've had a lot of success this year. I don't think they can really push because for next year, for some reason, they have, this great, season again, because like they don't have the room to move for the next 2 years. So I think it'll be really interesting to watch what they do, and especially the draft. Notably, they have an extra pick, a first round pick next in 2025, 2 extra picks this year in second, an extra third in next 2 years, and 2 extra fourths this year. I mean, they got a lot of extra capital in drafts and draft picks, and they're going to be interesting to watch. So I think they're the outlier this year, but outside, if they can't advance, which will be unfortunate for them, but I think it's going to be interesting. But nevertheless, the whole point is this whole segment today, spend a lot of money, you're getting the playoffs. That's been the motif. It doesn't seem to matter where you spend the money. You just need to spend a lot of it and get the guys.
So if you have an $8 million defenseman or a $9 million defenseman that gets hurt in the first third of the season, put him on long-term injured reserve and use that fucking money to get other players or do whatever to have the flexibility.
It's very circumstantial because the teams that have the most money and injuries don't always equate to the teams that, make the playoffs because they might be just having dead cap space or took on for trades, for guys that hurt. It's the guys that are the Mark Stones that go out at the right time and come back.
Yeah.
That part is got to be solved. Now, Mark Stone could be very unlucky for 3 years straight. I think he's okay to come back before that. I think the whole problem there is more of that the team can just be like, yeah, he's not ready. He's not ready.
I still say if you want this guy to play in the first round, he's got to play in game 82.
There's that, or that you have to be cap compliant in the playoffs, which is the other option.
Yeah.
Which right now the rule is the reason this whole happens, if for anybody listening
just blow it. Yeah.
It's you only have to be cap compliant in the regular season.
Yeah.
That's why this all happens. So as soon as you get the playoffs, everyone can be activated, and that's why this is occurring. So that's the real root of the problem and why it happens. And so if you close that loophole, that would prevent these teams from doing that. But hey, we'll see.
I like the idea of being cap compliant in the playoffs. That's a goal. Maybe it's a little bit more deeper than that. Maybe the roster that you put out that night has to be cap compliant. Like you can be over $5 million because you've acquired this player to help you in the regular season, but the team you put on the ice in the playoffs needs to be cap compliant. So you can have a rotation of guys if need be, right? If the guy's really hurt and he's not going to be back to the second round of the playoffs, your team's not hurting because you just put that guy right back in who replaces somebody else.
Actually, that's maybe a better idea. I like that, Tom.
Thanks.
Hey, Pat McAfee, take that to Gary Bettman.
Don't steal it.
No, listen, that's out there for anybody who wants it. Anybody. They just got to say Twix or whatever Steve said. Rivals. Just say rivals. All right, let's go to the state and Steve's stomach.
Oh, that feels better.
Brought to you by Coca-Cola Zero Sugar.
Right here, we're saving calories. Round here, we all look so lean. Round here, we enjoy Coke Zero, but sacrifice flavor, no. Round here, Coke Zero's the way to go.
This one's going to bring us to the year of our Lord, 2011. Baby, I'm sticking in 2011 for the foreseeable future.
Smart man. Smart
Good
man.
Good year.
Please go to October 20th.
Oh,
10/20.
No, wait, 20th. Not quite the day.
10/20, 2011 was a Thursday.
Ooh, man.
It was the 6-month birthday of a certain group of triplets we know.
Wait, 2011?
Yeah. No?
They were 6 month. Yeah.
6 months.
Yeah.
6 months.
Yeah. I didn't hear that.
Lunch.
Wait, what about breakfast?
No breakfast. Fuck that.
No breakfast.
Lunch.
Fuck breakfast.
Was a leftover chicken sandwich with a can of Coke and a side of Doritos in honor of the kid's birthday or 6-month birthday.
Obviously.
Dinner was meatloaf and a can of Coca-Cola. And I ran 2 miles that day. Tom, why did you pick Thursday, October 20th in the year 2011?
That was the day that the pizza wars got a little out of hand as a Lake City police accused Domino's pizza manager of torching a Papa John's restaurant.
Oh my God.
A suspicious fire apparently aimed at taking a slice out of the competition.
Slice like a slice of pizza.
Because of pizza. Because it's pizza.
Damn.
Had landed 2 Lake City Domino pizza restaurant managers.
Two
behind bars, according to Lake City police. This is Lake City, Florida, by the way. The October 20 fire gutted a Papa John's restaurant down the street from a Domino's pizza establishment.
$14 down the drain.
1 week later, Sean Davidson, 23, was arrested on a charge of arson, while Brian Sullivan, 21 and 23-year-old Domino's pizza owners were arrested Friday on the same charge, according to Columbia County jail records. Both are identified as managers at a Domino's pizzeria. The plan to destroy the competition was revealed when detectives spoke with Sullivan at the police department. He felt that if Papa John's was no longer open, it would increase his business.
Got a point.
Shocking. Papa John's owner Jake Wilkes-Barre, really? Or is that Scranton?
Or Jay
No,
Wilkes-Barre.
It's Scranton. Said he was dumbfounded over how somebody could go to those lengths over pizza. We're thankful no one was hurt. We spoke with one of our franchisers. He's in shock, blah, blah, blah. Lancer, we got a lead on Davidson and interviewed him, and he had some burns on himself that consisted with the fire. What a fucking idiot. Are you kidding me?
Light it and run, dummy.
Are you? I mean, what are you doing?
Obviously not the smartest.
Well, no. Muldoon said Scranton said that he sees the fire as a bump in the road, and he will get the Papa John's establishment back on as soon as possible. And that's what happened October 20th, in the year of our Lord 2011.
Time's a creep. Time is a weirdo. Where does he come up with the shit? It's so disgusting.
Ironically enough, it made the pizza a little bit better.
Bill,
where was Little Caesar in all of this?
Bill, have you ever ate Papa John's pizza?
No.
Oh, it's terrible.
No.
Terrible.
I've had Domino's and Pizza Hut. I mean, I think that should be enough.
Right? Well, I think we've all grown up on Domino's and Pizza Hut, but Papa John's, yeah. The only thing tolerable is the garlic sauce that you get in the pizza box.
Yeah.
And you dip the crust in there. It's the only thing that makes it tolerable. But it's terrible. So Billy, no Olive Garden, no Papa John's.
Yeah. I haven't done the Olive Garden yet. I meant to do that. Damn it.
No Olive Garden.
You're marking that down. Still hasn't gone.
I can't believe you never went to Olive Garden in high school.
Yeah,
just to
it really. I'm
and
dumbfounded by this.
Who went to Olive Garden in high school?
We sat there
for Fridays.
Well, maybe
we sat there for an
I
hour. What are you talking about? We ate breadsticks for an hour and just got sodas.
Right. Billy was wrapped up at Friendly's. He didn't go to Olive Garden.
He was hooked up.
Wow.
I did work there.
Discount.
I was Employee of the Month in February of 1990.
Employee of the Month. Did you have your picture on the wall? Did they do the picture thing?
They didn't have a wall.
I got a $10 gift certificate for CD World.
Have you cashed it in yet? Did you use it yet?
Have a CD,
I did use it.
Okay, thank God.
What did you get? What half of a CD did you get?
If I remember correctly, I think I got no. You can get it for about 10. It was maybe about 12 back then.
Well, did you get a single?
I'd say 12.
I got the Cult, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Either Love or Electric.
Electric Love.
Huh.
No, I don't have any Blue Oyster Cult tickets. Where were you last week when I had 27 pairs?
I get it.
That's all that matters.
That's
Nobody
really all
gets
that
it. That's all
matters.
that matters.
No idea.
What? Fast Times at Ridgemont High? Really?
Come on.
Oh, I've seen that. I've not committed it to memory, but well, just the one scene.
Just, yeah.
But,
Wow.
Just because he loves the way he looks jerking off in the pirate costume. He just loves the way Judge Reinhold looks in that costume.
Oh man, nice piss, Arnold. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Bill, I have a question to ask you. I've been told I have to ask you because Tina won't go. The first night of vacation down in Asbury, the Dead Milkmen will be opening up for a band. Do you have any interest in going with me?
Are you asking me on a date?
We'll sit on the boardwalk hand in hand and just enjoy the sounds wafting over the fence.
Well, let me think about it. Hell yes.
Yes.
Hell yes, I'll go out with you.
Wait, what day is this?
July something or other. 20th something, 23rd, somewhere in there.
July 20 or 23rd. Oh, we might be on hiatus.
Oh yeah, no, we're definitely.
Oh, that's upsetting.
We're not. We got 3 more weeks of this shit, and then that show's over.
I need to hear how your date went with Bill.
Oh well, maybe there'll be a special episode.
We might have to have a special episode.
Maybe we'll record on site a special episode.
Well, but I have to ask you a question, Bill. You have asked Steven to go on many of sporting events days.
Yes.
Many.
True.
You just
Well, to be fair, I didn't realize that he was boycotting the Jets out of some sense of righteousness as I was asking him all of those. So those were all, kind of throwaways.
All throw. Oh, all right. Even all those Penguins Devils games.
Oh. Should be thrown away.
Well, the Devils games are different, Devils games, Devils events.
He was boycotting the Devils. I'm sure at that point as well. Or didn't want to wear a new shirt on a Friday or something. Who knows?
All right, wrap it
up. All right, that's gonna do for us. Go on the Twix at friends_rivals. Say hello. Give us a follow. I did check the Twix account. We haven't posted in months. Maybe need to
we'll get right on
marketing. Maybe need to tell the marketing department to do a little tweeting.
Probably right around the last time the Devils were competitive is the last time there was posting on Twix.
You can always relinquish the marketing department's
Anybody
login.
want it? So I will. The marketing department will send a memo out tomorrow.
I was banned on Twix, so I can't.
No. Well, you can sign into that. It's a perfect opportunity for you.
No, but when they find out it's me, they're going to shut it down, and I don't want to risk that.
No. Yes, why? No. Wait. Your other account got shut down?
No, not my secret one. Don't tell anybody about my secret one. The secret one that I opened when my main one was banned.
What do you have to do to get banned from Twix?
I don't know what I never went on it. I don't know what I did.
Did you talk about Snickers or Milky Ways or something?
Wait, am I following, or are you following me from that from the secret account?
I don't know. I don't really go on it.
Huh?
I really go there.
So yeah, that's gonna do it. And follow us.
All right. Well, we will figure out the whole Twix thing. Go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you go to turn on notifications for our podcast so you never miss an episode of the Friends of Rivals podcast. Billy, say something, Whitney.
I don't want to harkness this point, but Nick said before about like how we've all been there letting teams down. I just want to remind everybody that I scored a safety in high school, so that's all for me.
All right.
He didn't let anybody down. I mean,
it was defensive player of the week once, right? GMC.
He scored four goals in a game in a loss. So I mean, that's nice. He ringed the fifth one off the post.
Could always count on him.
Always count on him.